Welcome to the How to Heal podcast, the show where we explore real life stories and practical tools to thrive. I'm your host, Lindsay Tremarky Richter, and through over a 15-year journey of all things healing, I'm here to hook it up. If you're feeling overwhelmed, looking for a deeper connection, or straight up in a psycho-spiritual crisis, I got you covered. Let's unearth your unique elixir to purpose, peace, and progress. Here we go. What's up, guys? Welcome to the How to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay, and today we're going to get into an episode on how to recognize when you are energetically in debt. So, stress can get very sneaky because the way we're conditioned is to really be producing all the time. And it's not a dramatic happening. It creeps. And it's the things that we normalize, like racing thoughts, overscheduling, being obsessed with productivity. So it's like being a good mom, being amazing at work, getting healthy food on the table, exercising, just having the most jam-packed productive day, and needing to, like, for me, it's so obvious when I'm racing in my car to get there faster and to do things quicker and to have more time. But, then we get there faster and we're just there to look at our phone for a few more minutes. So, we race and we get there and we do the things and we're highly productive. And then we start to see the physical symptoms of that stress. And that looks like weight gain, that looks like hair loss and wrinkles and anger and shallow breathing and body pain and all the little things where we're just like, oh, this is a part of getting older. Actually, it's not. It's a part of not allowing ourselves to slow down so that we can really appreciate our body. We're going to go into some tools on how we can really mitigate the stress levels and the stress debt, but essentially that comes down to loving on our bodies and giving ourselves the time and space to do so. So I just wanted to quickly talk about my journey through sobriety, because I think this is a good example of how I've been able to witness. I always talk about increasing the space between stimulus and response. Sobriety has really given me that opportunity, because I'd always been running hard, trying to produce, being social, being out there, doing all the things and feeling like, okay, I'm going to have a drink at the end of the day, at the end of the week, and I'm going to relax. Like I'm looking forward to having a drink so I can relax. And that was a coping mechanism that was not productive. And, not only was it not productive, like I had to force rest because of my hangover, so it was like, okay, I'm not going to give myself time to rest, but I'm going to use this coping mechanism that is not effective. And I'm going to be forced to rest through my hangover, which also is not effective because you're really not resting. You're just detoxing from poisoning your body. So when I started realizing that defunct coping skill was not working, it became a situation where I drank, and even if it was just a little bit, there became a lot of friction within that coping mechanism because I wasn't actually dealing with the underlying levels of stress that I had been accumulating. And it got worse and worse. And that's why I stopped drinking, because I'm like, this is not working anymore. Even just a little bit, it's just not working anymore. And when I stepped into sobriety, it taught me to notice, okay, we're not rushing, we're not racing through this to get to the drink. We actually don't have the drink at the end of the tunnel. So what is at the end of the tunnel? And really noticing the frustration, the anger, the racing thoughts, and having to contend with those without substance. Since the new year, I've really been having my head down, creating content, writing, creating this offer, working through copy and all the things so that I can offer this new program that I'm offering called The Upgrade for ambitious women who want to upgrade their lives from the inside out. And I really was just running on all cylinders and I loved it. And I was so excited to do it. But what ended up happening was I started noticing through my content that I was becoming slightly not grounded and emotional. And that's my cue to tune into my physical body and say, I have to chill and relax for a second. And I had booked a yoga, meditation, acupuncture workshop. And I came into the class and the yoga teacher was like, whoa, calm down. And I'm like, I know, it's bad. Because I hadn't breathed. I hadn't taken the time to just be like, deep breaths, really, really deep breaths throughout the day, not just right now, but throughout the day. The mindset, okay, my mind's spinning out of control. How do I get control of the franticness, deep breaths throughout the day? So I think the hardest part is the space between I feel like shit and I'm ready to slow down. Because you can be like, I feel like shit, I feel like shit, I feel like shit. And it takes a while to slow down. It doesn't just happen after that class that I took. Yeah, it helped, of course. And sitting in hours and hours and hours of meditation throughout my entire life, I know how to get there quickly, but it's an accumulated stress debt. So when we have accumulated stress debt, it's real. It's essentially what we know is burnout. And you don't just fix it in one session. You don't just get a massage and it goes away. You don't just meditate for 20 minutes and it goes away. You have to continually add in the bank. So how do you go from stress debt to regulated? This is what the episode is about. We're going to talk about some tools. So obviously meditation is big. And I talk about meditation a lot. I tell you guys, like I have clients that are like, it doesn't work for me. But what meditation really is watching your mind react to the external world and your thoughts and being able to bring your mind back to like a homeostasis point of breath. Like breath is your biggest tool. Well, you don't want to meditate. You don't want to sit down and close your eyes and focus on your breath. Just breathe throughout the day. Like I've used this tool called Heart Math. I love it. Now I have the Aura Ring, so I can see my stress levels, unfortunately. But the Heart Math tool really allows you to track your heart's coherence, what they call the measurement of how relaxed your heart is. And it's directly correlated to how you're breathing. So when we take long, deep breaths, for me, it's a breath that like I can no longer inhale and then I can no longer exhale. And it's not forced. It's just like so loving and chill, but I've done it for a long time. So when you practice, you keep practicing and you keep getting more and more fluent in how your body responds to breath. So however that looks like for you. Reflection is a really good one too. I have a goal to really sit down and go through the results that I desire to get and get extreme clarity on like what I'm really going after, not just posting content on Instagram and having fun. Like what are the daily actions that I am going to take to get me what I need and what I want? And I just downloaded this app called Opal, OPAL. And it blocks Instagram throughout the day. And it reminds me that I'm in productivity time, that I'm in focus time. And at first I was like, oh, like, yeah, okay. But like focus time. But now I'm like, okay, like actually, what am I focusing on throughout the day? Because it's for shit sure not looking at my phone every 5 seconds, tapping on it, seeing what time it is, opening an app, looking at my, all the things. So that's a really helpful app. If you feel like you need a digital detox, which is another sign for me where it's like, I know I'm checking my phone too much because I'm energetically burnt out. I'm not present in my body. And sometimes it feels boring to meditate for 20 minutes twice a day. I get it. I've been there. And morning pages every morning for like months. And I'm like, am I really seeing results here? And maybe the answer is like, no, my external world is not yet reflecting these results. But what I'm doing is I am putting in the bank, because every time you sit down to meditate, every time you sit down to journal, you are depositing into your energetic bank. Every time you take a sprint, and these are positive things, guys. This is where it gets murky. Like a workout, depending on how you feel when you're going to work out and how you feel after and how much you've pushed yourself, that could be a withdrawal. They say, you know, the way you feel in the present moment is like an accumulation of what you've done over the last 72 hours of eating, sleeping, and exercising. But like you can absolutely over exercise. So just be aware, like when you exercise, yes, it's good for you. When you work on your business, yes, it's good for you. When you're productive at work, when you're being a good mom, when you're making a good meal. And we really have to be focused on creating a systematic approach to automatic deposits into the bank. Automatic deposits into the bank. So Brendan Burchard in High Performance Habits talks about every time he walks through a doorway, it's like a reset and a reminder for him to check in. You know, for me, it's like when I'm driving, and I can really be present with myself when I'm driving. So I take like long, deep breaths for as long as I can. Alternate nostril breathing is another thing that you can do while you're driving. So it's a lifestyle, guys. It's not a singular event. You're not going to be able to sit down for a 20-minute meditation, even just once a week. You know, forget about a 20-minute meditation. Just start with a 2-minute, work up to 5-minute, and figure out what is going to deposit energy in your bank. Maybe it's a long mindful shower or a bath or a nap, a restorative yoga class, acupuncture, a massage, journaling. These are the tools. And what you are doing this for is, yes, obviously it's so that you can feel good, but it's so that you can be present with your thoughts. You can be present with your desires. You can be present with your family and your friends. You could be a better mother, a better wife, a better friend, a better daughter, all of the things. And when you have that presence, you have more freedom in your body. You are not constricted by shortness of breath. You are not constricted by anxiety. You are not constricted by racing thoughts. When those things happen, take a deep breath. In through the nose, out through whatever, the mouth, the nose, it doesn't matter. When you practice these tools on a regular basis, mindfulness, deep breaths, closing your eyes and smiling to yourself and feeling good, walking in nature, swimming in the ocean, your reality starts to reflect how you want to live. And I mentioned it doesn't just happen all of a sudden. It happens over time. But what happens is that your tolerance to tolerate unhealthy coping mechanisms, racing, speeding towards the end goal, your tolerance becomes like less and less, and you recognize that it's not working. So once you start to really embody mindfulness day after day after day, your reality starts to change into what you actually want. You create more freedom. You create more space. There is less urgency. There's less drama. You're just not there for it. You're not allowing it to happen internally, so it's not happening externally as much. It takes a while. This energetic debt is something that has happened and accumulated over your life. So we really have to be mindful of how much energetic debt we have and how much work we have to put towards rectifying it. And for me, like, it has been difficult to not just stick my head in the sand sometimes. Like, this shit is so overwhelming. I have so much, like back in the day, energetic, using that term, but like I have so much stuff to uncover and to resolve and to address. Like I can't even think about it. So I'm just going to stick my head in the sand and keep doing what I'm doing. But little by little, if we can just give ourselves, and especially as we become adults, we're more mature to say, this is the right decision. This is the right decision for me. This is the right decision for my family. I want to be a more present, loving mother. I want to stop yelling. Or I don't want to cause so much drama in my marriage. We don't have time to allot to fighting while we're all both trying to do our responsibilities at work and at home. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over years. It happens over years of consistent practice of really pouring in to your energetic bank. And when you've built your bank and you withdraw and you speed and you do all the things and you take out of it and you go into a little bit of debt, once you start depositing, you bounce back faster. That's why I'm not concerned that I'm ever going to have, an episode where I can't bounce back. I've deposited so much into myself that I'm topped up. Even when I have these weeks where I really, really sprint towards getting things done and I had creative bursts of energy. So it's not a bad thing, but you have to realize that this is withdrawing. And I know what regulated feels like. More and more. I know what regulated feels like. And it's a mix of having that creative inspiration and that drive to do things, and also creating the time to rest and relax and not spiral out of excitement. So you're not broken. You're literally in debt. You are in energetic debt. You have to start making deposits. And when we look at my framework, the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual pillars, this is the core energetics portion of my philosophy. This is a core energetic debt. So look at the pillars. Where physically can I deposit back into my bank? Where mentally can I get organized and focused and calm down? Where emotionally am I overriding how I'm feeling? Where spiritually can I really connect to nature and something outside of me that makes me feel like I'm supported? Look at it in those frameworks and approach it that way. Start making those deposits and think about the one thing that you can automate today so that you're doing it every day. Automatic deposits into the bank, just like you handle your finances. You get the money, a certain percent goes to savings, a certain percent goes to investments, all the things. So guys, I love you. And I just, out of everything that I'm teaching today, I just want you to take one thing away. And that is, just because it feels good doesn't mean it isn't a withdrawal. Be mindful of what steals your energy and what that feels like. I will see you next week. I love you.